Welcome back to Eczema Uncovered, and today I'm going to be speaking to a 39-year-old gentleman called Jason Richardson. Jason lives in the UK in Ilford, and he first started experiencing eczema flares around the age of 15, and by 16 it had gotten worse. And he's going to be telling us all about his story, about how he's been living with eczema, and I'm going to give him a call right now so we can hear his story.
Hello, Carol.
Hi Jason, thank you so much for coming on here to talk to me tonight.
Oh, that's all right.
So really, as I said, we're sharing stories regarding people who are living with eczema, and you told me a little bit about your journey. And I just wondered if you could start by telling us how your journey began, how old were you, and some of the experiences that followed.
I've had eczema mildly all my sort of child life, just a light patch on the back of one leg, and that was relatively all right. No real issues there. And it's only really, I think, 12 or 13 is when, for no reason I can't explain or whatever, it just really came at me harshly and began to rapidly spread all over my body. At the time, I was sort of using just steroid creams, really, and stuff recommended by my GP.
So you were telling me yesterday, was it at the age of 16 that you had asked your doctor what more could be done?
Yeah. Oh, right, yeah. The last skin-related appointment I had with my GP was when I was 16, and I was sort of, at my wit's end and explaining to him that, look, you've known me since I was a small child. These creams, or what you're prescribing me, isn't having any effect, isn't doing anything. Is there any other, methods or ways of tackling this thing or looking at it? And he was sort of like, well, no, man, this is it. And I kind of internalized that for a long time, and I kind of felt that with my sort of lack of any understanding of any other mode of dealing with things. I've sort of been raised that you go to the doctors for everything and anything illness related. I was just sort of lost for a long time.
So what did you do from there on? What was your next move? Did you continue with the medication? Or?
No, because I just thought it wasn't doing anything, and it was. If anyone, I don't know if they still prescribe that today, but I was using what was it called again? Petroleum jelly, and it's just very greasy, very thick, and I just thought, this is pointless. It marks your clothes. In summertime I'd sweat, and I thought there's no point using this if it's not doing anything. Then I kind of had this thing in my head that to sort of just try and explore what creams I could get my hands on, and it was just a case of sort of like guinea pigging with a lot of different creams basically for a little while. Then I would say about it was about 23, 24 when I sort of was on the internet, and I googled a guy that was talking about testing your blood to see what was wrong with you, and from there he would sort of recommend a course of treatment depending on what your illness is. This wasn't anything dermatological or eczema related specifically. It was just a sort of thing he was doing for a wide a wide variety of illnesses. And I read one testimony that was sort of skin related, so I thought, all right, I'll contact this guy and give him a try. And he sort of did a sort of live blood test with me, and he sort of showed me under a microscope that, look, you know, your blood is very acidic and it's not alkaline enough. And you understand, at this point I had no clue about any of this stuff, so it was all sort of alien talk to me. He had to explain to me what alkaline was, what, you know, the whole kind of like your blood level being a certain way, or if it's too much, or if it's not enough. And it was all sort of related to diet. And, you know, I really remember him sort of like giving me this list of, you know, what you shouldn't eat. And, you know, I've sort of come up, you know, the way most people are, you know, eating meat and you know, certain foods, and I was just, it was a whole sort of like new like revelation to me, basically.
So what changes did you take on and implement at that time? So you was about what, 23?
24, 25 when I went to see him. I didn't drink water at all. I'd never ever drank water at all up until that point, really. I started, you know, he started explaining how important it was that, you know, that water hydrates your body. It took me a long time to sort of wave goodbye to eating meat. And I'd always been someone that enjoyed eating fruit, though. So that wasn't anything foreign to me. But I didn't drink water at all up until I met this guy. And cutting out, it took me a long time to get off meat and to sort of introduce more vegetables to my diet as well. But the whole kind of like, you know, not eating bread because it's wheat and gluten, I had no idea what those things was up until that point.
What changes did it make to your body in any kind of way?
Well, after there was a significant change. I would say a month afterwards, after sort of like introducing water and not drinking like fruit juices and fizzy drinks. But it was very slow. You know, it was something that he did explain to me that, you know, you've been getting it wrong for a long time, so it's going to take a sort of like a long time to correct itself. But outside of that, I was still sort of using, well, I don't know, I'd settled on using cocoa butter and not necessarily pure cocoa butter either. This is what we get, like in a high street shop or something.
Yes, there's a few brands of cocoa butter, but there's one particular one that's been around for a long time. So you were using the supermarket shelf type cocoa butter.
Well, the ones you get in like black hair shops, if you know what I mean. They weren't necessarily in Supercut, but they'll be in these sort of like shops where they sell wigs and stuff for black hair.
Okay.
And at that point, I had no understanding of, like, you know, the sort of chemicals that go into these things, and that, you know, how harsh they could be.
How did it react to using?
I don't know. The one I used, it didn't. The one I was using, it didn't really do anything. It didn't change anything, but at the same time, it didn't sort of bring me out in any sort of rashes or anything. But I knew that as far as, you know, healing eczema, getting rid of it, it wasn't doing anything.
Mm.
I mean, you got to understand, from my point of view, the stuff the doctor prescribed, like I said, I just realized that it was pointless. And it was, and for anyone who's had to, you know, use it petroleum gel, they know how thick it is. And I was just relieved to not to be using anything as thick as that. If you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Makes sense. You know.
I understand.
So I just sort of settled with this, like, this is like, it's no better, no worse, but at least it's not as thick as that other stuff was. That was just not doing anything.
So did you use that for quite some time, or did you keep experimenting with different creams?
I would once. I mean, I'm showing my age to the audience. Once I started to sort of explore that, like after meeting this guy, and I started realizing that it's about natural things. I did start trying to use a lot of, I went for a period of just sort of ordering any and everything that was natural. But what for me, and this isn't common, but it is my experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one thing a lot of people would say to me is, have you tried unrefined shea butter? Raw organic shea butter. For me, I found that I would put it on my skin, but it wouldn't penetrate. It wouldn't moisturize. It would just kind of sit on the surface, and I don't know. I'd feel very dry, but I'd be very greased up and I sort of swore off unrefined shea butter for a long time.
Yeah.
Sorry?
And what about today, in terms of what you're using on your body?
Well, I found I googled. I can't remember what search I put on Google, but your cream Dermazeam came up, and I started to read about it. And in particular, I was drawn to one of the testimonies of one of your clients, a lady. I think she was in her 50s, I think, and she's had it a long time. And like me, she I sort of resonated with her experiences of trying a lot of things, and the way she spoke about how good your cream was. I was very sort of curious to give it a go, and I was slightly apprehensive when I saw that shea butter was one of the ingredients, but it wasn't just shea butter by itself. It's obviously shea butter in combination with other ingredients. So I thought, I'll order this and see how it goes. And I don't know, to me, there's definitely small slight changes. And as I've only been using it a week. What is it, a week? No, the first one, I think so. Maybe slightly more than a week. But and the fact that all the ingredients are natural is something that I think I'll just stick to using.
It's very early days.
Yeah.
How's it compared? Because it is still early days, but how is it compared to first using it to others that you've used? I mean, what difference has it made to the feel of it on your skin?
The feel of it, that was reassuring. Like I said, unrefined shea butter I just used to sit on my skin. So I like the fact that you don't have to use a lot of it either to sort of moisturize your skin. And I've definitely felt softer in some areas along my body, like along my forearm, my legs, and my chest. And like I said, anything else before, I was using the shea butter that you get, shea butter and body cream from the Body Shop.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, and again, that wasn't really that kept my skin hydrated and moisturized, I guess. But I mean, I know in my heart of hearts, it's not actually tackling or dealing with the issue.
Yeah. So going back slightly to when you was, that obviously the conversation you had with your doctor at the time in your teens, having suffered from eczema since a child.
Mm.
But you said that at the time it wasn't as harsh.
Well, all right. Maybe I won't sort of explain myself. I've had eczema since I was a baby, but I've had it mildly. I had it mildly on the back of one leg and in between the wrist and the hand on one arm.
Yeah.
When I was about 12 or 13, that's when it sort of came at me with a vengeance. It started to spread everywhere. I couldn't work out what was going on. My parents couldn't work out what was going on, why it was sort of coming up the way it was coming up. So it's after it sort of came at me very, very badly that I started going to the doctors.
Right.
All this time, I was using what they were prescribing.
Yeah.
And because it was so mild and, like I said, just barely a patch on one leg, in your mind you think, well, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. But when it got really, I don't know how or why, puberty, I have no idea. It just came at me hard.
What age was that then?
About, I was 12 or 13.
Right.
When it sort of came at me harshly, rapidly, just like literally. I remember, I just think I always remember one particular night, like, you know, my chest and my stomach feeling funny, and then just waking up and it was just dark and rashed, and I thought, you know, what is going on here? What, you know what I mean? And I went to see the doctor because I sensed, you know, he had like checkups or whatever, and he's realizing, oh, you know, your skin's getting worse, it's getting rough, it's become a lot more, you know, spread all over your body. And I said, yeah. And I said, you know, this petroleum jelly, this emulsifier ointment, they're not doing anything. And the last time I saw him, we kind of argued about it, because I was like, you know, you're a doctor, this is, you know, you're not helping me. So I was like, you know, there must be some sort of, you can refer me to somebody or something. And he was just like, I don't know, maybe that's just what he himself knew as far as, you know, dermatology or whatever, but to him it was like, if this stuff's not helping, I don't know what else I can say I will do for you. And I sort of stormed out. But I mean, I kind of internalized the fact that nothing could be done at that point, which I regretted.
Yeah, you didn't know. I mean, your GPs said to you there was nothing more that he could do for you.
Yeah.
So other than the petroleum jelly, what other treatments did you have, or was that it?
It was just that, and when you're in the bath, you'd use Alpha Curious bath oil in the bath, and you'd put emulsifying ointment on your skin in the bath. But that's all it was, just those three things. And like I said, it probably, you know, that seemed to, well, I suppose it wasn't doing anything, but, you know, as long as my skin was mild, you know, I was under the impression, we were under the impression as a family that, you know, this is what you do. But like I said, once it sort of came at me with a hammer, you realise that, this stuff is, you know, we don't know what it's doing. You prescribe it, you use it, but it's not keeping it at bay.
And how did that affect you at the time in your teens when...
Nightmare, man. I mean, the teens is when you start, you start being a lot more conscious of your appearance, and, you know, wanting to get girls and things like that. I became very sort of angry and quick-tempered. I get into trouble a lot, fight a lot, and you just became very so because it spread all over my body, my face, everything. You know what I mean? So, you know, you've gone from sort of having a light patch on the back of one leg and a little patch on one wrist to sort of your whole body.
That must have been really frustrating.
Very, and you can't. And what for me was that I couldn't work out why. You know, why is this suddenly out of nowhere? I've been going along, you know, like this for years, and then for no unexplainable reason, it's just come at me. So, you know, it wasn't the nicest. I mean, it's like I said, it's a big thing from thinking, like you said, you know, from thinking, this is something I have to sort of live with, to actually realizing, well, no, you know, if approached the right way and handled the right way, you can actually, you know.
There's been many cases I mean, if you look on social media and people talking about their stories of overcoming eczema. My daughter suffered eczema very badly. I went through the doctor's recommendations, but for us, long term, it didn't really help. Nothing was really working, otherwise what we were trying on the market either, the general market, and it came to a point where it was so frustrating for her, and as a parent it becomes so frustrating, you feel helpless. Through my research, and that came because there were other factors to dealing with her health which put me on that path, and I've told that story. It's on my webpage as well. And she'd suffered a nervous breakdown from bullying at school, and the tests brought up something which made me explore further. So I went on this journey of healing for her, which also it helped her to overcome eczema. So we can definitely work together at looking at what we can do to complete the journey that you're already on and get you to that state of well-being. But there are so many cases where people have taken control, they've researched what has helped in terms of diet and topical solutions, and it sounds like, although you've only had Dermazeam for a week, that it's penetrating the dermis.
It is.
You know, and you're getting some hydration and relief there. Just continue with that, whilst we work on the root cause.
Yeah, I'll definitely be sticking with the Dermazeam. You know, it's because, like I said, you know, the little research I've done, I know that natural ingredients is what you should be putting on your body. You know, I know that, and I know that, you know, a lot of what's on the market, even what was prescribed by the doctor, the steroids and all that, it's no good for you topically.
Not for the long term, certainly not for the long term. There's been people who have had topical steroid removal, withdrawal,
Yes, right.
and it has been horrendous for them. So for the long term, it's not something that people can rely on. We're not going to get to that stage. We're going to work together. And I'm glad that you've made some great changes anyway. We just need to fit the rest of the puzzle together and get you back on the path of well-being, Jason. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us tonight.
Oh, that's no problem. All right, thank you. You take care now, Carol.
And you too, Jason. Get in touch when you've got your questions, all right?
Will do.
Okay, take care.
Take care.
Because we're a family-run business. There's myself, my son, and my daughter. Before she was even eating clean, she was getting results, but it's got better and better.
As well as dealing with the eczema at that time, I was dealing with the harsh realities of growing up.
They wouldn't let us in. I don't think they believed that I was the host. I'm passionate about what I do and I share what I do. And she's a living testimony. I don't want to cry.